Thank you, Andy, for having me here. I'm Sid. I'm the CEO of Arbol, as well as a founding member of dClimate. And today I want to talk about how smart contracts, blockchain, and what we are doing at dClimate in conjunction with Chainlink can help businesses fight climate change, help us adapt to shifting weather patterns, and deal with growing climate risks. So, when we talk about dClimate, it is the world's first decentralized, open, marketplace for climate data, forecasts, and models, and a whole ecosystem of information about our climate. The idea is to connect publishers of data, forecasts, and models with users who are looking for transparent, validated, information for making different decision processes, from whether it is deciding how to prepare for the next hurricane, or for a logistics company deciding, how to route their ships, or for an insurance company deciding how to price their insurance products. The idea is to incentivize transparency, openness, and innovation in a space that, for now is mostly siloed, expensive, and out of reach for many who do not, necessarily have all the technical skills needed. And, the idea is that we want the data to be collected from a lot of different players and validated through working with Chainlink in terms of the oracles, as well as, bring standardization and transparency so that users can shop for this information in a very, clean and simple way. The question that comes up, is why climate data matters. We get asked this all the time. And when we are in, sort of developed urban areas, it can feel like, weather doesn't really affect our day-to-day lives so much, except, deciding what to wear outside or whether to carry an umbrella. But the truth of the matter is that weather and climate, drive a tremendous part of the global GDP. About 70% of world GDP is estimated to be affected by weather. Just in 2020, you had about $268 billion of damages, and a large portion of that, over 60%, was uninsured. What that tells you is that the current system has really failed a lot of different groups, because if you have uninsured losses happening to such a scale, or natural events that are essentially randomly hitting our societies, like hurricanes, wildfires, floods, it means that for a lot of people, they are one natural catastrophe away from, some sort of irreversible loss. And this is a big problem, because we need to bring information. We need to figure out what is happening to address this. So you can't address something like climate change or even regular weather risk until you have historical data that you can analyze and say, okay, these are the trends that are happening. Then you are in a position to, build forecasts. And that's not an easy task. It needs the collaboration of many, many groups, and build actionable insights on top of this. A lot of the user base is not going to be downloading raw data and figuring this out. So the idea is to build, actionable insights on top of this. This is why climate data matters, and it needs to be clean and not, subject to revisions and, difficulty in access. So if we go to the next slide, you can see, some of the examples of the things we are working on. The idea here is that we are going well beyond just raw data, or just the easy forecast that you can see on your phone for the next few days. First of all, climate data encompasses a very large set of data. You're talking about weather, crops, soil, carbon. Each of these is growing in interest because each of these is so critical for us to understand what will happen next, whether with our food system, our energy system, with natural disasters. the scale and scope of industries that we can serve is also massive, right? You have renewables, which are a growing consumer and going to be a big part of dClimate's user base. If you operate a wind farm or a solar farm, you need to understand your weather risks and how much power you'll be producing at different times. Similarly, if you're an agricultural company, what is the crop yield forecast looking like in different parts of the world so you can plan import and export logistics. And as I was saying, to truly harness the power of all this, you need to go towards actionable insights. And that's an example of what you see on screen. And one of our first apps we have built is for the construction industry. So if you're a site manager, figure out how many days of work you're going to be likely to lose. So you're not dealing with giant reams of raw data. You're figuring out when will I have to shut down my site due to bad weather. And, when we look at our user interface, there's a sneak peek here. We're going to have lots of data sets for users to select, to filter. And on top of that, a whole community of apps to help different industries figure out what to do when weather risk affects their business. So, converting the 1,000+ terabytes of data we already have and adding to it pretty much daily into real value add products that address a wide array of industries from finance to logistics to insurance and a whole lot of other weather affected industries. One of the things that we really want to stress is that these apps that we are building are a starting point, that the team is going to guide the community, but we really want the community to be engaged and build apps on dClimate. That's how we'll harness the full power of this network. That's how we go from just being a raw data, repository to something where a huge number of, data providers and users can interact in a meaningful way. And so, I was extremely, pleased to see the turnout at Mighty Hack Week, where dClimate had a house and, some really talented people came and built some really cool stuff there. And we're going to encourage more and more of this from around the world. And it's been great to see the engagement from the community and how many people are interested in coming and building on dClimate. So when we have this many different types of data providers and publishers all interacting in a network, how do we keep it all together? How do we make sure that it's validated, it's usable for the user? And that's where Chainlink comes in. Chainlink will serve two major purposes for dClimate. One will be on-chain data validation. So validating climate data is, a specialized skill set. There's a lot of different algorithms to run, depending on whether you're validating a forecast, for example. You want to know, okay, how accurate is the forecast? Does it tend to be really accurate in predicting big rainstorms or heat waves, etc.? Or if it's historical data, you'll have different validation metrics. So Chainlink nodes will perform this validation with guidance from the dClimate community. And the second is, and something we're very excited about, is we'll be the first network to use Chainlink as our governance layer. So the DAO will select different nodes to be appointed as validators for different types of data. And so this will be done in conjunction with experts who are, very familiar with that particular field of climate data, whether it's crop yields or weather forecasts and so on. So, for us, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. And so it was important for us to work with a team like Chainlink to make sure that they form the base layer of the network. And that way we can focus on doing what we do best, which is operating in this, climate ecosystem and building the actual network usage. In terms of, being a node operator, we welcome, anyone to apply to be a Chainlink node operator. We're in the process of finishing up many of the build outs here. And we look forward to having a whole community of nodes being run to help us make dClimate, what it can be. When we, so putting it all together, right, when we think about what purpose blockchains, smart contracts, and networks like dClimate can, provide, the main goal I see is to help businesses, and many other entities and even individuals adapt to climate change. Many of these shifting weather patterns and shifting climate patterns are going to happen regardless. And what we have to do is make sure that different groups of society are well prepared to handle such change. Currently, many people are in the dark about what climate holds for them. What's the often they're just one natural catastrophe away from total failure. And that's not a system that's very stable. If the next big hurricane or the next wildfire can put you out of business or really crush your livelihood, this is not a system where you can have stability. And the problem gets worse and worse as you go to developing countries, of course. And to really solve this issue, we need large-scale, validated, clean data as a starting point. Then actionable insights on top of it, which are accessible to all. So towns can plan what to do when the next big flood hits, or a developing community can figure out what happens if a crop yield fails the next season. And finally, once you have this layer of forecasts, models, insights, then you can start building meaningful financial products on top of this to help reduce the dependence on disaster aid and other sorts of things that are expensive and take very long to reach the right people. By being proactive, you can have products like parametric insurance, which Arbol does, in increasingly growing volumes. Here, data can be used to make a payout. So if there's a drought, somebody gets paid based on the data. Or if there's a hurricane, somebody can get paid based on data. So they're not waiting for months and years to settle an insurance claim. These kinds of programs are not feasible unless you have reliable, trustworthy data. And so, I think that, with dClimate, Chainlink, we're setting the foundation for a whole host of growing, products that I think society will increasingly need as we try to tackle the climate risks that are growing everywhere. And so, I encourage everyone to visit our website and our social channels. We also encourage, everyone here to come participate. There's a lot to do on dClimate and even with Arbol. And we look forward to working with many of you in the coming months.